Something that I find really fascinating is how semen retention is like an alien concept to most average men. Meaning they don't get it, they don't do it, and they probably never will. Now, why this is so foreign to them is something that I want to break down with you. And as we will see, there are a lot of deep reasons behind this. The first reason why the average man is not going to practice retention anytime soon is because he is not in touch with the principle of delayed gratification. That is, to resist temptation so that you can do and achieve more in your life. The truth is, we have all gone against this, right? We have all done stupid things to get quick rewards in our lives. The difference is, only some of us have woken up to realize that this leads to nothing productive. In fact, it leads nowhere and probably messes up the rest of your day and maybe even the next day. However, the average man is actually okay with having this cheap, quick, and empty reward, which not in a million years is ever going to fulfill him. And specifically in the context of semen retention, the average man is just not aware, nor is he motivated to delay that gratification so that he can improve his life with greater focus, greater energy, and greater confidence. You need to be able to foresee the impact that retaining would have on your life. And the truth is, the average man is simply not interested in this kind of forward thinking. Rather, the average man prefers the comfort and the pleasure of the immediate gratification, which keeps him stuck and which keeps him hungry for more and more and more. The second reason why the average man does not retain is because of the deep social conditioning that has shaped him to be rather like a sheep. I mean, you are speaking a foreign language to the average man when you talk about the power of semen retention to improve your life. Because things like raising energy, consciousness, and breaking out of the social matrix do not register nor resonate in the mind of the normie. This kind of thing is outside of the normie average paradigm and consciousness. And even if the average man were more open-minded, the chances are the social conditioning runs so deep that his mind is already so full with programmed beliefs about what he should and shouldn't do. This reminds me of what they say in Zen, which is that your cup is full when you think you know, when your mind is full with ideas and when they're all rigidly locked in place. What the average man needs to do is to empty his cup and free his mind of social conditioning. And then what he can do is gain direct experience of the energy and just feel how potent it really is. Because every guy, whether he knows it or not, wants to feel this potency. Every guy wants to feel his masculine power. Really, it's just a question of, are you lucid enough to see through the conditioning which keeps you asleep and which keeps you like a sheep? So you want to act more deliberately and more autonomously in your life, and you can do that by beginning to retain. The third reason why the average man is not going to be retaining anytime soon is actually a cluster of reasons which all feed into each other. It's laziness, comfort, and a lack of discipline. Primarily, I'm talking about the raw action and capacity to turn the pleasure down, which, don't get me wrong, can be really tough, can be really hard. There's a good reason why the average man lives like he does, and that's because self-discipline, without the correct mindset, can be damn tough. It requires you to deny yourself nice things which make you feel good, or so we think, or so it seems, or so we've been taught. Because really, we turn this immediate sexual pleasure down because we know two important things. Firstly, that the pleasure is actually suffering in disguise. We can see this as soon as it ends, it's pure suffering. And secondly, by delaying the gratification, we allow for a greater reward to build. And this reward is really quite profound. Because retention, what it does is it gifts you an entire life full of richness, potency, and excitement It brightens your world and enlivens you with a powerful spiritual energy. Whereas an orgasm is seconds of pleasure. Seconds, which then drain us of what could have been energy that we use to throw ourselves at things in life, things that push us. So the average man, unfortunately, chooses to squander his energy because he lacks the basic self-discipline. And you should know that this self-discipline, it always will need to be derived from within. Meaning, even if the whole world was carelessly releasing and you were the only one retaining, you would still do it because your self-discipline, it comes from within. And also because you retain not for anyone else, but for you. And that is the only way that it can be done. The fourth reason why the average man does not retain is in fact fear. You might think, how could a man possibly fear semen retention? Well, I want you to imagine how part of you actually has to die in order for you to retain and actually become a wise person. The drive for sex is so powerful that the average man is completely run by it, especially as it's one of the few things in his life which guarantee him a good feeling. So to tell him that he shouldn't release his seed because apparently there is a greater reward to be had is not going to compute with him, because this does not serve or satisfy him quickly enough, and the average man is only ever concerned with the speedy satisfaction and not anything beyond that satisfaction, because that would be way too far outside of the comfort zone. So the likelihood is the average man will continue to live the normal kind of way that he lives, which of course lacks consciousness and lacks deep care for his emotional and spiritual well-being. Because if you didn't know, releasing too often actually makes one more clingy, more attached to people and things. Because what you're doing to your mind when you release is you're putting through the mind the most amount of natural pleasure that it can possibly produce for itself without an external stimuli. This means that neurochemically, it's kind of a big deal for the mind and will take some time, approximately 2 weeks or so, for the mind to return to homeostasis. So releasing your seed every day is not really something that you can get away with, because it ends up affecting everything from your mood to your entire outlook on life. So knowing all of this, what you can do is now very consciously choose to retain and do yourself the biggest favor. Because by retaining, you allow for a counterintuitive move to take place, which is you turn down the initial pleasure, only then to receive a rich, dynamic, energizing life force, which helps you conquer your personal reality and embody the way of the superior man. You will be flying when on retention, highly motivated, highly focused, strong, and with a deeper emotional experience of life. And I don't know if I emphasize this enough, but your literal quality of life is improved. If you listen to music, it's better music. If you watch a film, it's a better film. If you go for a walk, it's a better walk. Everything in your life is upgraded because of how retention colors your perception of life with richness and energy. And yet, sadly, this is completely unrelatable to the average man, because he is not familiar with this level of emotional and spiritual engagement with life. You have to break through out of the comfort and into the good life to be able to appreciate the small things. And that's what retention does for you. It breaks you out of your habitual primitive behaviors and gives you the power to experience life at a deeper level. What the average man does not understand is that the good life is lived according to powerful principles. And semen retention, in my view, is one of these principles. And what it does specifically is it makes you far more than ordinary. It makes you extraordinary. In fact, I'm not sure that you can be ordinary when you're holding the pure energy of life within you. But of course, the average man, being consumed by his desires, is not ever going to experience this pure energy of life. Why not? Well, because after a day or two, the energy will start to feel like it's too much, and there will be a desire to do something with it. But instead of transmuting it for higher purposes, the energy will likely be discharged and wasted because of a lack of spiritual maturity and wisdom to hold and tame that energy for a greater reward. Again, we've all experienced this, but only some of us have learned that we cannot continue like this if we want to lead deeply fulfilling lives. So, to wrap up, I want you to remember that if you practice retention yourself, you should take a moment to appreciate that you're a very rare individual, because you're doing something which is remarkably powerful and which is not understood by most people around you. You have to accept that you've stumbled upon something which most people are not quite ready to take on. So lead the way, keep going, and keep listening to your higher wisdom to guide you in your life. If you've enjoyed this video and you would like more, then please do subscribe.